All right, we have yet another guest from the NFL Network, and this one also works on NFL Red Zone channel. Andrew Siciliano, thanks for joining us. You've covered the draft or the combine a lot. You guys have wall-to-wall coverage on NFL Network. Some high-level stuff, man. You've seen some players come through. You've seen some coaches and GMs come through. Who sort of impresses you right now in just some of the press conferences?
I think Joe Burrow stands out. I know everyone wants to parse every word out of his mouth and every sentence here, trying to figure out what exactly he means. But what does stand out, regardless of what he actually is saying, is he has a confidence, he has a swagger to him. He says he doesn't model himself after Baker Mayfield, but he appreciates Baker's confidence. He said that on the podium when he was up there on Tuesday. I think that is evident. And I think he's a perfect fit for the Bengals if the Bengals actually do want him. He said the one thing I would have loved to have heard him say is pound the table. Right. It's been my dream to be a Cincinnati Bengal, but if it hasn't, it hasn't. It's been his dream to be the number one pick. I think he's going to be that guy, and I think it's going to work out well. But we have 2 months to figure that out, and we have 2 months to try to poke holes in every statement that anyone says.
I don't know a lot of people that have ever pounded the table and said, I want to play for the Cincinnati Bengals.
But Baker did it 2 years ago for the Browns. He came out and said, I'm the guy that can fix the Browns. Because remember, there could have been a Sam Darnold pick there as well. And Sam didn't say that. Sam did hey, I'm happy to go wherever I go, which most people would agree is the right thing to say. But now we want to, nitpick everything that Burrow says. I thought Tua was impressive as well, not to just make it only about Joe Burrow. He has a quiet confidence to him as well. I think he has a very disarming smile. I know that sounds silly. The question is he healthy? And if he checks out, and if there are enough teams that want him at the top of the draft, then the draft truly does change.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because even as you look at the draft, the Redskins, just because they have Dwayne Haskins, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go after Chase Young and possibly take a quarterback there as well. So we could have two quarterbacks right off the top get taken. Let's rewind a little bit. You cover a lot of NFL for the Red Zone channel. You've seen a lot of Vikings football. How would you sort of assess the 2019 season for us?
I know it's not going to be what a lot of people want to hear. It was absolutely a success. I know people want more. Everybody always wants more. You want to be playing in Miami. You want to be playing in Tampa next year, the first weekend in February. But you could only look at it as a success. Mike Zimmer said it up here today. Kirk had his best season, right? And that is validation that I think everyone, himself and the organization, needed. Now you're to the point, well, do we extend him and do we kind of lessen out that or lower that cap hit for 2020? They are moving in the right direction. Probably not as fast as everyone would like. Everyone wants to win the Super Bowl yesterday, not next year. But they have the pieces, and now you got to figure out what you're going to do with all your free agents on defense and keep moving.
Do you feel like because of the cap situation that should be priority number one for this organization of how can we take some of Kirk's money, extend him because he deserves it, and kind of smooth out that cap hit? Yeah,
I think when people think, well, $84 million, what, you're going to give him more money? It's just NFL economics. If you have that big number because it's all guaranteed, it's like paying with a credit card. You got to pay that bill right now. You can't kick it 3-4 years down the road. If they sign him to an extension now, you could lower that money. You could ease your cap burden for people like Everson Griffin, who Zim suggested was coming back today. It would give you more money in an effort to re-sign your corners if you want them, right? Or Anthony Harris, who you probably do want. Yeah, it would be great. So, yes, I know this sounds counterintuitive, but the answer to a lot of their issues is paying Kirk Cousins more money.
Well, and now we are at the Combine, which means that we're building up for the draft. Vikings are sitting at 25. I know a lot can change from now until then. We got to figure out the cap situation, got to figure out what your actual needs are going to be. But, just a generic sense, you think they'll lean offensive line, defensive tackle, or corner? You get a sense there?
I would say a lot will depend, and this goes for all 32 teams, on how they handle free agency, the other things we were just talking about. I don't think we should ever put it past Zim to want a corner in the first round. So whether it's corner or offensive line, I think those obviously are two huge areas. But, you can never have too many defensive linemen, ever. Now, the strength in this draft is at wide receiver and at offensive, maybe offensive tackle, but especially wide receiver. I don't think they would go wide receiver there. But, if someone calls and makes an amazing offer for Stephon Diggs, then it's a different issue.
Yeah, and I agree. I think you could make the argument that if you get a great pass rush, you're obviously going to help out the timing of your secondary and maybe allow those guys to make some more plays just by getting after the quarterback. So I think, as a fan base, you can compel me to believe that, hey, we're going to take one of these rock star defensive tackles that can play 3 downs and get after the quarterback and apply that inside pressure. That way we can kind of help out some of our young corners and young secondary guys. So it definitely will be interesting.
Hold on. Here's the wild card, though. So you're sitting there at 25. There's always going to be a run on quarterbacks. Right? So who's the quarterback that someone decides, I don't want to wait until Friday for the second round? Like the Ravens 2 years ago traded back up into the first, up to 32 to take Lamar Jackson. I'm not suggesting there's a Lamar Jackson out there that someone's going to want, but when you're sitting there at 25, when you're a playoff team in the bottom quarter of that first round, the bottom 5th, 6th of that first round, your phone is going to ring if somebody wants one of those quarterbacks that they value higher than somebody else. And then you're in a great position to accumulate picks and get more players to win now.
Great takes, great opinions, Andrew Siciliano. You can find him at Twitter at Andrew Siciliano. And then, really, all week, primetime coverage, NFL Network. Not going home. These guys are going to be drinking coffee and tea for the whole week straight. So catch them. Thank you very much.
Good to see you, man, as always.